If you're willing and able, please stand and join us for worship.
Whoa, 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 whoa. In the middle of the night, when worry finds me, in the middle of the fight, when strength is gone, in the middle of the fire, when fear is closing in, you are my song. You're my hope when hope is gone. So I will cast my cares on you, the Almighty. I will cast my cares on you, 'cause you're good. I will cast my cares on you, 'cause you love me. You love me. Whoa, whoa, because you love me. Whoa, 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 whoa. In the middle of the night, when worry finds me, in the middle of the fight, when strength is gone, in the middle of the fire, when fear is closing in, you are my song. Oh, you're my hope when hope is gone. So I will cast my cares on you, the Almighty. I will cast my cares on you, 'cause you're good. I will cast my cares on you, 'cause you love me. You love me. Whoa, whoa, because you love me. Whoa, whoa, because you love me. God of glory, you are able through your power to be faithful. God of mercy, every moment you are near to me. God of glory, you are able through your power to be faithful. God of mercy, every moment you are near to me. So I will cast my cares on you, the Almighty. I will cast my cares on you, 'cause you're good. I will cast my cares on you, 'cause you love me. You love me. Whoa, whoa, because you love me. Whoa, whoa, because you love me. Whoa, 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 whoa. In the middle of the night, I'll pray with confidence. In the middle of the fight, you're greater still. In the middle of the fire, your love is holding me. You are my song. Oh, you're my hope when hope is gone. So I will cast my cares on you, the Almighty. I will cast my cares on you, 'cause you're good. I will cast my cares on you, 'cause you love me. You love me. Whoa, Before the earth was made, you were living. And over every heart, you've been singing. Your very words spoke life into being. You even give your breath, we are breathing. And now we sing our songs back to you. Oh Lord, we gladly lay down our lives at your feet. We take the breath you gave. We give it back in praise, 'cause you are exalted to the highest place. You have the name above all other names. Lord, you are exalted to the highest place. You have the name above all other names. Stepping down into the world you made, the uncreated God in a human frame, created dwelling with creation. You made yourself of no reputation, and you made yourself nothing for us, and you gave up your life for the least of men. You entered the gates of death and rose with the keys in your hand, 'cause you are exalted to the highest place. You have the name above all other names. Lord, you are exalted to the highest place. You have the name above all other names. There is no one like you. There is none beside you. There is no one like you. There is none beside you. There is no one like you. There is none beside you. There is no one like you. There is none beside you. There is no one like you. There is none beside you. There is no one like you. There is none beside you, and you are exalted to the highest place. You have the name above all other names. Lord, you are exalted to the highest place. You have the name above all other names. 'Cause you are exalted to the highest place. You have the name above all other names. Lord, you are exalted to the highest place. You have the name above all other names. You have the name above all other names. Lord, you are exalted to the highest place. You have the name above all other names. You have the name above all other names. You have the name above all other names. You are here, moving in our midst, and I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place, and I worship you. I worship you, God. You're here. You are here, moving in our midst, and I worship you. I worship you, Lord. You are here, working in this place, and I worship you. I worship you, God, 'cause you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. 'Cause you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are.
You are here, touching every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you. Oh, I worship you. You are here, turning lives around, and I worship you. I worship you. You are here, mending every heart. I worship you. I worship you.
'Cause you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. 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 Oh. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop. You never stop working. You never stop. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop. You never stop working. You never stop. You never stop. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop. You never stop working. You never stop. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop. You never stop working. You never stop. You never stop working. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. 'Cause you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. 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 That is who you are, Lord. lost are saved, find their way at the sound of your great name. All condemned, feel no shame at the sound of your great name. Every fear has no place at the sound of your great name. Yet to me, he has to leave at the sound of your great name. Jesus, worthy is the Lamb that was slain for us. The Son of God, a man, you are high and lifted up, and all the world will praise your great name. Your great name, your great name. Yeah. All the weak find their strength at the sound of your great name. Hungry souls receive grace at the sound of your great name. The fatherless find their rest at the sound of your great name. The sick are healed, the dead are raised at the sound of your great name. Jesus, worthy is the Lamb that was slain for us. Son of God, a man, you are high and lifted up, and all the world will praise your great name. 'Cause you're my Jesus, worthy is the Lamb that was slain for us. Son of God, a man, you are high and lifted up, and all the world will praise your great name. Your great name. Redeemer, my healer, Lord Almighty, my Savior, my Defender, you are my King. Redeemer, my healer, Lord Almighty, my Savior, Defender, you are my King. Jesus, worthy is the Lamb that was slain for us. The Son of God, a man, you are high and lifted up, and all the world will praise your great name. 'Cause you're my Jesus, worthy is the Lamb that was slain for us. Son of God, a man, you are high and lifted up, and all the world will praise your great name. Your great name. Your great name.
Hungry souls. That lyric that Chris led us in. Hungry souls find grace at your great name. God, we come Though we've had breakfast, we come this morning hungry.
Yes, Lord.
In our soul, God, hungry to be with you and to hear you and to receive from your word this morning. God, we give you our hungry souls, that, God, your great name would be proclaimed in us and through us, in our circumstances, in our city, in our church family here this morning. Your great name, we exalt it. We say it's high and lifted up.
Yes.
Mighty is your name. Mighty is your word. Mighty is your power. We welcome you in our life this morning in Jesus' name. Amen. Great. You could have a seat. Thank you, worship team. Very grateful for you and leading us in worship this morning. I have a few details to communicate with you before we get started in a message this morning. One, my name is Jason Harris, and I'm our community life pastor here at Mount Helena Community Church. I'm also an elder and on staff here, and I'm grateful to be able to share with you this morning some exciting news about our small groups. We just had small group signups this last Sunday, and I've tallied the numbers and ran things together. Currently, in this winter semester, to start out 2022, we have 88 participants signed up for 13 groups. I'm going to break that down a little bit. We didn't have that many groups offered out in the lobby because 7 of those groups are men's, women's, life groups that are continually meeting, adding, changing, growing, and development. And so those groups weren't able to be offered because they're currently full, which is a good thing. And those groups continue to meet. But we offered 6 new groups with 10 leaders in those groups, and 3 of those leaders had never led a small group at Mount Helena, which is an awesome thing, that they offered that and made that available. And so 36 people signed up in that, but 19 people were first-time participants in a small group at Mount Helena. I love that. I love that. I love what that has shaped up to look like and to be. I'm excited to share a little bit more about small groups at the end of our message this morning, and then certainly tonight at our family meeting and dinner, which I'll share more about at the end of my message this morning. If you're a guest here at Mount Helena, I want to encourage you and welcome you. Thank you for making the effort to come this morning, but I'd also invite you to take a visit, a wander over to the Welcome Center out in the lobby where we have a welcome packet available for you. And with that, there is a small group menu. If you're looking to be involved in that and maybe find a group, you can get a menu there with the welcome packet this morning that we'd love to get into your hands and help you connect more and understand next step opportunities, which one is next Sunday here. We have Link that we offer in this room right over here. To the side of the stage after both services next Sunday. It's an opportunity to not just connect with information, but to connect with a person, to connect with people, staff and elders and other leaders here at Mount Helena Community Church. We invite you to join us for just 15 minutes after service next Sunday, either the early service or the second service. We would love to connect with you and meet you. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh, also, we do have a cleaning position open here at the church that has opened up recently, and so we want to make that available to you, let you know about that. If you have some time, would like an opportunity, think that maybe you could help us fill that position at the end of a week, near the second half of the week, to help make sure things are ready and available and ready to go on Sunday mornings. We would love to connect with you this morning or anytime this week. Jen Rebo is here on the front row, and Jen is a staff member here at Mount Helena as well, and I'd invite you to talk with her even this morning if that interests you at all. Otherwise, contact us here in the office during the week and talk to Jen. That would be great. All right.
Jason, paid position.
It is a paid position. I'm sorry. Yes, that's a staff position with the rest of us as well. Thank you, Jen. Great to clarify. Right. Perfect. Anything else, Jen? No. All right. Excellent. I'm hungry. I'm excited to share with you this morning. I want to invite you to open up to John chapter 13 this morning, where we are going to look at a story. And ironically, similar to the last time I spoke, there's opportunities that it's good to kind of look at the end of the story. For some of you, that might be cheating to read the last chapter of the book before you read the book. That'd be kind of cheating, right? But for the sake of our message this morning, we're going to go through a conversation that Jesus had with his disciples. But before we do that, at chapter 13, verse 1, I want to look at these couple of verses here at the end. In verse 34, Jesus says, "A new command I give you, love one another. As I've loved you, so you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another." We're going to be talking about love this morning, not just because Valentine's is around the corner, because it's a new command. Because it's the commandment that we're still under, and it's still the unction of Jesus Christ in us and in his church today. It's an unction I want to bring back before us again this morning. Now, you could benefit, husbands, wife, spouses, parents, since Valentine's is around the corner, but it's not a Valentine's message. Love is a message for all of us in all times, in all circumstances, in all situations, in all relationships. Love is meant to make a difference and to have an impact. Before we look at John chapter 13, a thought maybe I had was, in terms of a title of this message, is, what does love have to do with it? All right. Not as poor of a reaction as I thought I might get. I'll stop there. Anybody want to take over for me? All right. Tina Turner's song, "What Does Love Have to Do with It?" Has a lot to do with it. 3 things that I want to share with you this morning. The first one being, love looks like a commitment to serve. Love looks like a commitment to serve. Jesus Christ, who he says, you tell me that I'm a leader and that I'm a teacher, and in fact, you're right, was the kind of leader and the kind of teacher who didn't get an A on information. He got an A+ and over the top. Recently, my wife and I looked at one of my daughter's grades, and crazy enough, at the beginning of the semester already, she had a 436% in math. I'm like, wait, I have a math background and a math degree. How do you already have a 436% in math? Explain that to me. Jesus had an A+++ in being a master servant because he was committed to loving in a way that he was committed to serving. In John chapter 13, verse 1, it says, "It was just before the Passover festival. Jesus knew that the hour had come for him to leave this world and to go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end." The New Living Translation says, to the very end. He loved them to the very end. Another version says, to the full extent of his love. To the full extent of his love. Would you agree with me? I hope it's not too far of a stretch for you. Jesus came to love people. He came to love people. Jesus came to love people intensely, to love them deeply. Jesus came to infuse value, as John Maxwell says it. To infuse value in people. What Jesus chooses to do next is to infuse value, to demonstrate his love. He's going to serve his disciples in their last night together, the last night the gang's meeting up, which they don't fully know yet. Jesus knows it's imperative to not just say it, but to do it, to live it, to be it. And it's okay if it makes them uncomfortable. Because love overcomes mess-ups. When a person looks back at their experience, one that they remember and think of as being one of love, regardless of whether they felt valued at the time, they look back at that experience and they don't just feel love, they feel value. John chapter 13, verse 4 and 5 say this. So Jesus got up from the meal, took off his outer clothing, and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with the towel that was wrapped around him. Picture yourself there. Maybe that seems odd. Maybe some of you have been through that sort of experience yourself. Maybe someone said, hey, can I wash your feet? I've had that experience. Someone's washed my feet. It's different. It's a different sort of experience. I've also been on the washing end. My second trip to Romania, we were working with poor gypsy kids. I'm talking about kids who don't get an early education because they also don't have a birth certificate. Not because they're kids, not because they're rural kids, not because they live in a village, not because they're poor, not because their house is made of thatch and manure with a little stove in the middle of it, but because they're gypsy. And gypsy's less. You can go to many parts wandering group of people that have Indian descent from that part of Asia, but they're not Indian, they're gypsy. They're not Asian. They're not Eastern European. They're not English. These kids, if you will, almost, they're not Romanian. Though their families have been in the rural hills of Romania for 4 and 5, some of them 6 generations, those are gypsies. You can see their karuza coming, their horse and their cart. You can see them walking with the few belongings that they have. They're gypsy. Remember being at this camp and taking these kids to a place like they'd never been and never stayed before, and getting to share the word with them and share Jesus' words with them. And yeah, we felt like the Holy Spirit was leading us to wash their feet because they're gypsy. Because Jesus came for gypsies. Because Jesus came for wanderers. He came for people to love them and to value them. And you can picture these gypsy kids from poor rural village, and there's Americans, white and black, at their feet, washing their feet. I'll never forget one of them looking at me afterwards in worship later that night, coming over to hug me and get another hug and saying, I don't want you to forget me. Because they felt valued, because they felt love, because they felt respect. Jesus is leaving that kind of mark on his disciples with intentionality. In a conversation I recently had with my friend Steve Chestnut, who's at Milestone Church in Keller, Texas, he recently told me the way love is transferred is through serving them. The way love is transferred is through serving them. You're them. You're the people that I want to love and that I want to serve, and the them are outside of here. Them doesn't end here. Our city and our valley, Evelyn and I drove down the North Hill last night after dark, and again, just looking at the beautiful city that we have, full of them, full of people who need to be served and to love and need love transferred through service. In Matthew chapter 14 and many other places in Scripture, we see the kind of love Jesus had. When Jesus landed, Matthew 14, verse 14, when Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them and healed their sick. He didn't have a feeling, he had to do something. He had compassion. Matthew 9:36 says, when he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them because they were harassed and helpless like sheep without a shepherd. Luke chapter 7, verse 13, I'm choosing to focus on the New Living Translation. In this one it says, when the Lord saw her, his heart overflowed with compassion. Don't cry, he said. In addition to Jesus' words, in addition to Jesus feeling compassion, Jesus did something. In all of those stories, you can read the other details where Jesus wasn't just having empathy or sympathy. It doesn't say sympathy. He had compassion because he chose to do something, to have a reaction not just in his heart, but to move and to do and to be, to transfer love. Luke chapter 10, verse 33, then a despised Samaritan came along. This is a story of Jesus. It's a parable that he's telling. Jesus isn't the man who comes along. He's not the man in the ditch. He's telling a story, and even that man, the difference that was inside of him is not because he had empathy or sympathy, but though he had a busy schedule like everybody else who walked by, he chose to do something about it. Where it says, then a despised Samaritan came along, and when he saw the man in the ditch on the side of the road, he felt compassion for him. Compassion made him feel like he had to do something. As JR has recently mentioned, he and I, at the beginning of the month, at the beginning of the year, attended a conference, and we got to hear several sessions from John Maxwell. And John's just an incredible, incredible man and figure, and so humble. Hi, my name's John Maxwell. I want to be your friend. To a waiter, to anybody attending a conference, to some of the biggest leaders and names and officials in the world. Hi, I'm John Maxwell. I want to be your friend. I want to listen to people like that. I have a notebook full of things he said, but I want to share some of them with you related to John chapter 13 as I was studying and trying to prepare for this. He says, John Maxwell said this, I wrote it in my notebook. He said, if I see you as hurting, I will help you. If I see you as broken, I will fix you. If I see you as valuable, I will serve you. Hurting, I'll help you. Broken, I'll fix you. There are some problems with that. There's a lot of people who don't want to be fixed, right? There's a lot of people who don't want to just be seen as broken and need fixed. But there's a lot of people who want to be seen as valuable. So there's a lot of people who need to be served. He said we need not to just help people or fix people right now. We need to value people right where they are, with who they are. He introduced this concept or this idea, this thought that I've never heard of. He said Jesus is the master, and he's the one who introduced the servant surprise. Servant surprise, you want to know what that is? He said the servant surprise is this. What I thought I would get and what I got were different. Jesus was the master of the servant surprise. What I thought I would get and what I got, what I thought he would say, and what I end up hearing, what I thought he thought wasn't what he actually thinks, what he had to share with me, the way he treated me. He said, in too many Christian churches and communities across America, we value people who are most like us. People who think like us, who speak like us, who share opinions like us, who live like us. But Jesus values and loves people who do not think like him, act like him, live like him, speak like him. It's not that he doesn't value the ones who do, but he's out to reach and to save the lost. It's his parable that says it's worth leaving the 99 to go find the one. Jesus transfers love by serving those kinds of people. And in doing so, he shows a special and incredible value of those people. Again, first, love looks like a commitment to serve. I want to come back to that in a bit. I have two other points that I want to share with you in terms of what love looks like. Love looks like a conversation. If we continue in John chapter 13, a conversation happens. It's the conversation that's captured in the night. In the last time the gang's together for a meal, in what's referred to as the upper room, an upper room that Jesus asked to be prepared. A conversation that's captured in the night looks like this in verse 6. It says, he came to Simon Peter, who said to him, Lord, are you going to wash my feet? But it wasn't just the way I read it. It was more like, Lord, are you going to wash my feet? Actually, Lord, you're going to wash my feet? Jesus replied in verse 7, you do not realize now what I'm doing, but later you'll understand. Yes, even you, Peter. Actually, you don't understand. I'm sorry if it makes you uncomfortable, but you'll get it. You'll be all right, Peter. In verse 8, it's more like, actually. No, said Peter, you shall never wash my feet. Actually, Jesus, you shall never wash my feet. What do you think comes next? Actually, I still got left. Peter, how far do we have to go? Actually, Peter, listen to me. Unless I wash you, you have no part in me. Actually, I'm done. I'm done. In that case, verse 9, and then Lord, Simon replied, not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well. Oh, way to go, Peter. What a conversation. Can you feel some of the tension in I just lost my word. The controversy, the conflict that's there between the two of them. Actually, you're not really going to wash my feet, are you, Jesus? Come on, that's uncomfortable. That's weird. Actually, you don't understand, but you will. It's love. I have to serve you. You don't know what's coming next. I'm not going to be with you always. You're going to look back at this and feel valued. Don't be afraid of feeling weird, uncomfortable, dirty, because you wear sandals. And because you're used to the lowest servant washing your feet. You're used to a servant when we go out to a fancy place to eat, which is kind of what they're doing. You're used to someone who's being paid for it. You already feel like you owe me. But that's why I have to wash your feet. Just hang on. You'll be all right. Jesus was the master at displaying value like that. But what a cool conversation between the two. Love is having the conversation. Love is displayed in Peter as well by not just keeping his thoughts in his own head and being uncomfortable with what's about to happen. He verbalizes it. And it helps wash deeper into his life because he expressed himself even if he's wrong. And it gave Jesus opportunity to up the game and to go deeper. Though Jesus was just going to wash his feet and say, your head and your hands don't need to be washed. Because it's not really the feet that we're washing, it's the heart. Your heart's changing. In that conversation, love is like a conversation. There's a washing going on. There's a lining up. There's a transformation of value and love that's making its way deeper into Peter than his emotions and being uncomfortable and thinking, Jesus, the top? Our leader, the King, the Lord. If anything, maybe I should be washing feet. 2 tips on having conversations. I look at that part of Peter and I don't think that's silly. Why are you arguing with Jesus? I think he was being courageous. He was sharing what he was really thinking. He was putting it out there. He was stating his position and his emotion and his love and like, I'm not sure about this. And it gave Jesus the opportunity to also let him know what he thought, to have a conversation. The second one is to be understanding. It's dangerous to be courageous in a conversation and lack understanding. Would you agree with me? Peter, really, Lord? But he remained understanding and open, trying to hear what Jesus was really saying and what he wanted to do. Remaining understanding. Proverbs 18:2 in the New Living Translation is a little bit of an antithesis of that. Maybe a little bit of a problem. I don't mean to hurt you. The truth ends up being the truth. I don't think it is connected to our time right now, although I think it's helpful to our time right now. It's connected to all time, not just this time. Let it not hurt you, but it says, fools have no interest in understanding. They only want to air their own opinions. Could that not be a little bit of a banner right now? A banner. I'm telling you, it's a little hurtful to me, not because of you or anybody else, just because of God and reading his truth and his word and me going, ugh. A problem is, if I could insert a word, it's not there. So this is just Jason, okay? But what if I insert the word Christian? There are Christian fools who have no interest in understanding. They only want to air their own opinions. When I read that thinking of myself, I'm just like, I've got to be careful. I've got to be really clear what I'm sharing, what I'm thinking. Am I really trying to communicate my opinion and my perspective and air it out and get it out there for the testing? But am I more like communicating what I think is truth and what I think is belief and what just is? Or is it still just an opinion? Am I really wanting to express myself, or am I wanting to understand? In the conversation, I think Peter was wanting to understand. But he still had the courage to communicate, but he had the openness to be understanding. He had an interest to understand. Number 3, love looks like a command. We're going to come back to those verses at the end that really point that Jesus was making in all of this. But still there's some verses to cover. I want to just look at verses 10 through 15. It says, Jesus answered, those who've had a bath need only to wash their feet. Their whole body is clean, and you are clean, though not every one of you. For he knew who was going to betray him, and that's why he said not everyone was clean. When he had finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and returned to his place. Do you understand what I have done for you? He asked them. I'd be afraid to answer. Actually, no. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I've set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. It looks like a command, like a new commandment. I'm grateful for the conversations. This might be in contrast to most of us guys, but I think Jesus understood it well, that when there's something new, a new idea, a new concept, a new washing machine, a new assembly of a desk, or a project, or a new house to build, it's good to look at instructions. It's good to get more information, particularly if it's new, something that you haven't experienced, haven't done before. And so Jesus is having this conversation all before giving the new command to try and get to the heart and to get past our head, to get past our past experiences and our expectations, to pierce us with love by serving to get the message across. In verses 34 through 35, a new command I give you, love one another as I've loved you. So you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. I want to dumb it down for just a moment. This is a command we can do. It's much simpler than the 10 Commandments that expanded to books in the Bible saying, this is what you've got to do. A new command I give you, as I've loved you, love one another. It doesn't say perfectly. We can project the word perfectly and turn it into a guilt scenario. Jesus isn't saying that. I've given you the perfect example. Just do it with me. Just join me in it. You don't have to be perfect, but you have to do something. Empathy is not enough. Sympathy is not enough. Compassion is felt love to action. Jesus takes the pressure off and saying, just join me. You don't have to be perfect. Just follow by doing what I've done for you. As we finish, I have 3 thoughts that I want to share with you before we finish and go. Your and I's biggest need, the biggest need of all of humanity, me included, is to have a fully restored relationship with God. To have a fully restored relationship with God. We're created, I believe, to live in community with God. That our lives are meant to be shaped by His love and love for Him and love for others. I think it's pretty clear there in John 13, and I would say without a doubt that we're actually created for God's glory, to be a unit, to be a part of many parts that are all about God's glory. And I want to say, if you're living your life today, if you're hearing me online or here and you don't realize that, or you're not living in a way, or you're not living in a relationship with God that you would consider as fully restored, that is about and inclusive of grace, I want to encourage you to deal with that, to take some action, to join God in His love for you, to do something about it, to have a conversation maybe, to start to be courageous enough to say, I don't understand this. I'm feeling a little like Peter here, and I really want to be clear on the issue. Can you help me? Can you give me some thoughts? It's possible to live your life in a fully restored relationship with God here, not just later. Because God, in His grace, made a way through Jesus Christ, not just through His death, but through His resurrection, that His word says that we would have life more abundantly, not just be living. I was shocked when John Maxwell said this. He said, I know a lot of people who are already at their finish line. The problem is they're still living. They're not living with abundant life in them. Maybe they're retired. Maybe they're whatever, distracted and into other things. Maybe they're just bored out of their minds and lost in their own thought and their own head. But it's separate from living with the abundant life that Jesus Christ has for us. If you would like to have a conversation about that, I'm certainly available. A prayer team will be available after service as well. But maybe you know somebody here. Maybe you know somebody in the community that you love and you respect and you think they may have some thoughts. I'd encourage you to have a conversation and to be open to resolving that and seeing what God has for you there. The second thing that I wanted to share with you is that I have excitement about our small groups in the spring. I'm excited that we have small groups going now and small groups are launching, but I have an excitement regularly about what's happening right now, but then I also want to be thinking about, praying about, talking with the staff and us about the season coming ahead and what are we going to do and what does God want to do. And I think it pertains to this message, even in small groups. And as we've talked, we have shared ideas, and this idea has come about on the team, and we've put ourselves into it. We still don't know what it looks like, but we really, I don't know what else to call it at the moment or time. I'm sure next month when we share more vision about it, it'll maybe have a different name. But the idea that we'll still be sharing and offering small groups just as we are, just like we did in the fall, when we had, I believe, 93 people sign up for small groups in the fall, and we have 88 in participating in a group this week here in the semester. We'll offer those kinds of groups, but in addition, we'd like to offer a whole church experience where we form groups, and it's not about knowledge or content or experience, but it's just that we would actually get together and get to know others in our church family more, and that we would put our heads and our hearts together and ask God, how do you want us to serve? Love's best transferred by serving. Where in our community can we serve? Can we help out? Maybe one night looks like serving dinner at God's Love. Maybe it's a bigger project. I don't know. There's a lot to be done there. But the idea that we would be taking action, we would be going, and we would be out there and see what God does in that season. We're going to be offering that at the end of March for the month of April and the beginning of May. And I'm excited to hear the stories and the opportunities and to hear back what God does in that season with our small groups and that kind of activation amongst us. And really, I also like it because it's an opportunity that I feel like a lot of people have excuses and justifications and reasons and self-doubt of why they can't lead or why they can't be in a group. They don't know enough. They might get asked a question that they can't answer. That's okay. This, we don't have the answers to. We don't know what God wants us to do, but we get to figure it out together. And if you can offer a place for people to get together, and if you can help facilitate and participate in a conversation of what would God have us to do, you could lead. You don't have to know something. You don't have to study something. You don't have to prepare ahead of time any more than anybody else in your group. What's God want us to do in terms of serving and helping out in what community, in what part? Maybe a school. Maybe a coworker that one of us works with. I don't know, lots of opportunity there. Tonight, we have a dinner that we want to make sure you're invited to. If you know that Mount Helena Community Church is your church family, if you are checking us out and you're thinking, this may be it, I would encourage you to come tonight. At 6 o'clock, we have dinner. We'll have spaghetti and garlic bread and salad and cake and fixings. Here, we'll be serving dinner at 6 o'clock, and then at 7 o'clock, we'll be sharing more vision and a bit of a review from the last year of what God's done amongst us and with all of you in terms of our giving, what's ahead in other areas, other ministries of Mount Helena Community Church. We want you to feel invited. We want you to be included. We want you to be in on the know and the happenings for what we see as possibly the year ahead and what God has for us. Thank you so much. Thank you for being such great listeners and coming hungry this morning to hear from God. I want to encourage you as we finish. If there's something that you want to pray about, if you want to talk about, a prayer team will be available after service. It's the conclusion of our service. Thanks for being here. Have a great week. Hope to see you tonight.